Hi, it's Linda from Cause and Effect Dog Training again. In video number 9, we're going to cover how we go about the training process, what's involved in that. Now, the first thing that I would urge you to do is learn how to read your dog's body language. Training is all about communication, and if we don't know what our dog is trying to tell us, then it makes the whole process a lot harder for us. And that's especially important when we start taking our dog into different environments that he's not used to. For example, if your dog is standing very stiff and he has his tail very stiff and he's very alert, that's a dog that could react badly to a situation or another dog. If your dog is standing really loose and he's nice and calm and he's got a lovely tail wag, then that's a happy dog who is comfortable in himself. One of the biggest myths that we see in dog training is people thinking that if their dog's tail is wagging, then everything is fine. It's about where it is wagging and how it is wagging. There's a lot of different things you can look up on the internet about dog body language, so getting familiar with that is really, really important to start with. When we start looking at training our dogs, a lot of people will go, he doesn't listen to me. He does whatever he likes. And there's really only 3 reasons your dog won't do what he's asked. The first one is because he physically can't do it. The next reason is your communication isn't there. So he's not understanding what it is you're asking. So perhaps you haven't spent enough time training him in what it is you're asking. And the last one is a motivation. Is your dog motivated to do what I'm asking? In dog training, in modern dog training, we use a lot of positive reinforcement to build that motivation in our dogs to want to do things for us. There's really only 3 differences between your little dog and a big dog. We see little dogs they're anxious, they're nervy, they get treated a lot differently to what you would treat a big dog. The 3 differences between a little dog and a big dog is how much damage a little dog can do in an attack. They've got a little mouth, they've got little teeth, they don't do much damage. The next reason is how much damage your little dog can sustain. So if it was in an attack, how badly it would be hurt. And the last thing is what we let them do. So when we actually look at starting training, there's 3 phases of that training. The first phase is a teaching learning phase. So we spend a lot of time positively reinforcing our dogs to teach them what it is that we want in the first place. The teaching phase is so important, and you're a lot better spending more time to make sure that your dog clearly understands what it is you're asking. The next phase is what we call the training phase. So in this phase, it's where your dog has been taught exactly what it is you're asking. He knows what it is you're asking, but just like children, sometimes they will push boundaries. In the training phase, that's where we start bringing in consequences for bad choices. A consequence, as I've covered before, doesn't have to be anything that's physical. It doesn't have to be nasty. It is just something that your dog may not find great. So even you've asked him to sit, he doesn't sit, so you don't reward him. That is a consequence. The last phase is what we call the proofing phase. So the proofing phase is where your dog clearly knows what it is you're asking. He understands that there's consequences for not doing as you're asking, and he is then expected to do it in all different environments and different situations. So the last thing to remember when we start training our dog is we have to take into account how we feel and how our dog feels. The dog feels everything you feel, especially when you're connected by a lead. So if you have a day where you're not really feeling like training your dog and you just can't be bothered, or you're feeling unwell, just don't do it. It's fine. Missing a day here and there is great. You might also find some days you go out and your dog just isn't with it. It just isn't happening that day. So when that sort of thing happens, finish on a good note, even if it's just a simple sit, reward him for that, and then that's your day's training done.